Let's hope Dust2 can be a different story and TYLOO can come out the gate swinging, give us something to believe in, as we are going to get immediately into the action with the pistol round. Plenty of utility picked up by mousesports, who opted to start on the T side of things as the push starts to come in from Frozen. Zeta, that's a lovely flashbang, and finally some frags going to come through. Somebody looking to back him up and hitting some heads as once again TYLOO doing the work in the pistol round. A 3v2 now, and mousesports with a P250 and a Glock to try and make it happen. Chris J taking yet more tags. A one tap to the head from Summer leaves Chris J completely isolated. He's at least going to find one more. The dink and the follow through coming through onto somebody, and a hectic start to say the least, but a 1v2 for Chris J to contend with.
It's going to be at that range as well, the exact same position where Summer connected the one tap onto Long. He is sat again, and it's the same outcome. It's not quite the insta-frag with the headshot, but he gets it done anyway. And TYLOO, 3 pistol rounds played, 3 pistol rounds won.
Can't complain about that. You just need to start working on the rifles as well. mousesports, they don't get the bomb down, so the cash isn't the greatest in the world, but they're still going to buy, and Woxic's going to pick himself up the scout. We're not going to see Chris J's antics on that just yet, and for TYLOO, they just need to get out of this round cleanly, right? They need to keep the M4 up on Summer. They need to just keep those FAMASs, MP9s viable, and just hope for the bonus round coming into round number 3 as Woxic desperate to get something going down mid, but not going to be able to spot anybody out. And the early nade's going to get a couple of tags onto Carrigan around the edge of the smoke, but TYLOO, they're not looking too keen to aggress just yet. Now they do, and Carrigan not quite able to connect on the Deagle as Zeta helps himself to first blood, taking down Rops, and actually going to get a second onto Woxic as well. Is he finally showing up in the server as Frozen at least able to get one back for Mouse?
Goes back in for seconds. It's a couple of whiffs from the FAMAS-wielding somebody, but he still has his life. 14 HP separating him and his demise, but mousesports have Chris J with the scout, doesn't need it for the first kill, and will be switching across to the FAMAS. Scout shot whizzes by his ears. Still has plenty of time, and he realizes his flank is a very distinct possibility. Now, Chris J, he's been here so many times in the past. He wants that smoke, and he's going to find it for the cross. So at least he does have a little bit of utility to play with. Plus, with his time, the player that was flanking Freeman has got to respect the fact that Chris could still turn tail and run around the back. Now his footsteps are being heard, though. He can make a move on towards short. The bomb going to get faked, draw the players out into the open. Chris J swarming, swelling with CTs is the sight. Hefty damage inflicted to Freeman, but he doesn't get the kill, and thus he is entirely encircled. It's going to be the 2-0 after all.
They keep the firepower up as well, which is really important for TYLOO there. They managed to keep themselves the FAMAS, the M4, and the Scout. That gives them a little bit of a building block coming into round number 3, where Mouse, of course, they're going to be down to about the 2K mark, going to buy whatever they can afford, but largely just going to be Deagles, so it's cash farming time for Freeman and Attacker on those 2 MP9s. Just get yourselves about a K if you can find a few frags, get some money flowing into that bank account, and start to shore up your buys for the remainder of this first half. Zeta's going to get the early contact and a quick headshot to take down Chris J as well. That is a lot more like it from the sniper, as now mousesports a man down and got to try and find a way to take out this scout at range.
Well, we said, can they get some inspiration early on? So far, so good. Zeta is having quite the impact with his scout. He's had 3 or 4 kills with it so far. Summer, in the meanwhile, with his M4, is going to go to task Freeman, holding off the aggression from Carrigan. And it's all going the way of TYLOO once again. It's going to be a clean sweep of a round with Zeta switching to his sidearm. 3-0 start, nearly equalizing their grand score on Inferno, as sad as that is. But at least TYLOO now showing us what they're capable of.
I mean, Zeta's only 3 frags behind where he was for the entirety of map 1, but he's starting to look a lot better on that scout, and he's going to upgrade as well, picking himself up the AWP coming into round number 4. And there's going to be nothing available for mousesports. They'll go on to the Kriegs, 3 of those, a couple of AK-47s, and plenty of utility as, again, Chris J's going to try and take that long control to open things up, getting around the smoke, dodging the worst of the nades, and perhaps looking to catch somebody off guard here. Will take the follow-up to the chest, down to 62 HP, but for the time being, he's alive and kicking. He's buying time as well as somebody looks to make the rotation down into the pit. They still don't know he's here, Chris J. And now he looks to tap away. Can't quite connect on the headshot and will wisely retreat before he gets taken out. mousesports with mid-control to work with as they look to plan their execute. And it looks like they're thinking about a mid-B.
It's a good counter flash tossed in. Does stall them a little bit. But their bit is firmly between the teeth, and they are looking to push on to B. 2 players strong. It's a bastion. It's a real fortress of a site to take, but now Attacker putting his MP9 to use onto Voxic may have completely thwarted this attempt. There's a rotation coming through as well from somebody round the back who is looking, anticipating a peek, but everybody that he goes to look at just dies ahead of him. The thing is, though, this is a play that can go for again in the future. If he doesn't show his hand, it is something that you can go for. It's a bit of a gimmicky play. A lot of teams will go for this. Now somebody going to start to move on catwalk, and he may even go for the knife. No, he decides against it. Carrigan is a dead man, whichever way you spin it, and our Ropt of 30 seconds is going to look to potentially save the SG.
Try and keep something up, because the economy's on the rope for mousesports losing that round. They're going to go 4-0 down, and TYLOO, they look like they've got their confidence back. They're hitting their shots again. Zeta's picked up the scout, followed by the AWP, and has found some nice frags with it as well. And everybody's showing up. I said Summer needed to find some frags. He's 7-1 at the moment as somebody just cleans things up onto Rops to make it 4-0. And this is so much more like the TYLOO we wanted to see, the TYLOO we believed could come out here. And hopefully they can just keep that form up on D2.
I mean, this is almost a resurgent team that, like, we just didn't see even a glimpse of this in the first map. It's great to see. Again, going back to maybe what I said before, they don't really have anything to lose in this tournament. No one expects them to make a deep run. No one expected them to even be here in the first place, as it was Vici pulling out that afforded TYLOO the chance to get to Katowice. So any maps, any head-turning moments is a massive benefit and bonus, and maybe mousesports going to be on the receiving end of another bit of a battering in this round. They don't have too much to their name in terms of utility. They've got a few pistols, and that's pretty much it. Kevlar for Voxic, if they can get a weapon into his hands, maybe there's an inroad back in.
Walking into that CT, Krieg as well, attacker up in Goose with it, and that will just tear heads apart as mousesports look to plan this execute. Dropping down into CT, looking to catch somebody off guard, but he's there and he's able to find the frag. Traded immediately by Rops to bring us back onto the 4-on-4, but it's a nice adjustment by Summer to find even more damage, yet to find the frag, but so much damage done. 20 HP between Rops and Chris J, and mousesports, they're trying to make their way in towards B. Finally, Frozen opens things up with the 1-dig, and Summer in a desperate position to try and recover. Traded 1-for-1 and 3-on-2 now. Zeta and attacker. That's a tag through the door as Woxic makes the transfer, but he's managed to pick up an M4 in the meanwhile. And can they get back into this bomb site? 2-on-3. They've got to clear Rops first of all. He's just hankering in this corner, but Zeta's got the shot. The AWP's finally starting to show up. 2-on-2 now. That bomb's starting to tick down, but both Zeta and attacker have diffusers. They've got time to play with as they look to make their entrance, and oh, this is going to be tight. Frozen with the M4. Org in the hands of Woxic, but so little HP to work with. Attacker swings, manages to keep his head hidden. Finally, the frags come through, and it will be mousesports with just Deagles to work with, who find round number 1, saving a couple of rifles, including that AWP onto Woxic as well, and that could be absolutely crucial.
A Frozen 4K finalizes the round, and mousesports welcomed to the scoreboard. Better late than never. It is going to be another AWP for Zeta, but this is really testing the economy. The accountant on the CT side not happy to see there's basically nothing in the bank account other than $1,500 on attacker. So if they were to concede this round, it's been a great start, but things will slip away. Zeta, though, is going to say no to that as he claims onto Chris J early doors through the middle doors. And now mousesports on the back foot, though, will swing out with a kill onto Freeman, equalizing at 4v4.
Lovely little boost over the smoke there. A little bit of an innovative play by TYLOO, and somebody wants to get aggressive off the back of it. Frozen with the timing. Oh, he just looks the wrong way. Somebody even spots the bomb as he finds that frag, and Zeta helps himself to another, taking apart Woxic for mousesports. And now it looked good for Mouse. They'd found the refrag, they had the opportunity, but Zeta really starting to come into his own on the AWP, finds his 3rd frag of the round, and Rops, he's been here before, a 1 versus 4 to contend with, and with 1 minute and 3 left on the clock, the odds of him managing to keep his hands on the Krieg for this long is very, very slim, especially considering somebody's still on that UMP.
Carrigan may just say to him, look, do as much damage as you possibly can on the way out, because TYLOO's finances aren't great, as we touched on before. So if he could take another kill or 2 out of this on his way out, that could be enough. That could be enough to put TYLOO into a bit of a rough position. Keep in mind, the mousesports, do still have some round loss on the horizon. They do still have $6,000 for Voxic. Chris J and Frozen can buy next round. Rops is going to be close to being able to afford as well. So it may not be paramount importance to save the SG necessarily, but he has whittled away enough time now that it could be a possibility. 20 seconds to go, plus TYLOO situation suggests they may not charge down too much and chase for this SG too much, knowing that it could do more harm than good. And now Rops is going to start to make a move. It's just of paramount importance he doesn't die after time. That's all he's looking for here. Somebody round the door. Does he go for the peak after time is the question that I'm curious and finding an answer for. You can see that Summer's gone up through the T spawn, so he's got some information for his teammates. Rops just catches the shoulder, and they're both happy to allow each other to just sail by and keep their weaponry. TYLOO, though, 5-1 in the lead.
And this is what I wish TYLOO had done earlier on in map 1, is take that timeout and just reset yourselves. mousesports going to go for it on this occasion, as they are just starting to slip behind, and TYLOO starting to find some of that form of old that we spoke about, that we longed for in map number 1. And with the economy as it is, mousesports with a big decision to make. They are going to go for the buy. They're going to try and string it together. Woxic's going to get the AWP, but short on utility again. As TYLOO looking to hold on to what they've got. Somebody going to stick with the UMP. Zeta, of course, on that AWP. Currently 9-2. He's got more frags than he found in the entirety of Inferno, so really starting to feel it now.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubting that at all. And you just have to look at mousesports now. How is Karrigan going to counteract? They've not been under any duress, any pressure whatsoever in the duration of this best of 3. This is the first time where mousesports have been forced to sweat a little. There's a timeout. Let's see how they engage afterwards. It's going to be a hefty tunnels push, but it's into the arms of somebody, but he comes out second best, barely even scraping Karrigan in the process. That is just what Karrigan was hoping for.
It's just what mousesports needed, an opportunity, half a chance as Rops. He's going to go up on the head of Chris J and not spotted out. Freeman's going to be taken down. He had no idea what hit him. That's the B-bomb site, completely open bomb. Still all the way back in spawn, but mousesports finally starting to find some of that form from map 1 as Woxic finds another onto Summer. And Zeta and Attacker, you said their economy was absolutely busted, and they can't really afford to go for this. They need to save that M4 and AWP. Otherwise, they're looking at a very rough buy coming into round number 8.
And so much firepower to save here as well. And with Zeta playing exceptionally well here on Dust2, you want him to have the AWP as much as possible if you're on TYLOO. So I'm sure Summer made the call. Save, save, save. Do whatever you have to. Even throw Attacker under the bus if you need to in order to save that AWP. So I'm sure Attacker will sacrifice himself. Although actually they are pretty much separated. Attacker's on long, with Zeta with the AWP on the short side, just peering down from catwalk, taking the aggressive angle. Obviously, what you'd like to do is take the shot from the little alcove, then drop down into CT spawn, but they don't have control of that. So he's playing a little bit more static and more stationary, trying to be a little bit more defensive. mousesports, additionally, their economy's not great, so they're okay to save by and large. So we're going to have this stalemate situation, but mousesports, after the timeout, again, it proves to be magical as they double their digits to 2.
It looks like it was exactly what the doctor ordered. They just find another level, and frags just suddenly start going their way. It feels like Inferno all over again as mousesports get their second on the board, and they really put TYLOO and especially Summer under a lot of pressure here. How does he call this round? They've got 2 rifles saved up. It looks like they're going to go for the buy down to about that 2K mark as Summer and somebody pick themselves up deagles respectively. And this is a damage limitation exercise now for mousesports. Just try and keep those rifles available. Just make sure you don't lose too many players to this kind of a buy, because otherwise your economy is going to be in a lot of trouble. Fast play towards long, but there's no real contest here from TYLOO. They know they haven't got the firepower and they haven't got the utility to be going into these positions.
Simply put, they have to just respect this and hope for the best. Cross your fingers, go for that gamble on A. If mousesports overstay or overextend, you can maybe start to try and rummage together a comeback, but by and large, I'm okay with this. Keeping Zeta's AWP in the B tunnels. It's not going to see action anytime soon. The bomb's already making a move out of long. They're just making sure all these angles are accounted for. Throwing the Molotov down onto car will draw out any pesky CTs that are hiding behind there. Meanwhile, also tossing one up onto the long side. Someone just watching from the elevator. He will see action momentarily, more than likely, but you better believe there's going to be a smoke wall there to greet him.
A little bit too much aggression from Zeta on the AWP as he's taken down by Rops, and that's a lot of the firepower lost immediately for TYLOO. The AWP is down. Freeman might be able to recover it. He doesn't know, though, that Rops has escaped from the B tunnels as Summer at least gets a 1D onto Frozen to try and open things up. Karrigan steadies the ship with another onto Attacker, but the trades are still coming through. Somebody able to take down Karrigan, and Summer sneaking through the smoke finds another isolated on the bomb site. He's got Chris J as well. And Rops, he was all the way over towards the B bomb site but a moment ago, and with 18 HP, he's got 3 players to contend with for TYLOO. The half buy has gone perfectly, and they've even managed to salvage themselves a couple of AK-47s.
A bit of a misread there from Karrigan. We'll get back to that in a moment once we see if Rops can keep his life ticking forward into round 9. It's looking likely. I think TYLOO are going to be occupying, happy to save these 3 guns and get the round under their belt. Rops shouldn't be extending now. He doesn't want to die after time. But when they know that Zeta is over in a very unorthodox position with the AWP, you've got to assume that there's a gamble stack on A. I'm very surprised they still hit A after getting that intel. There was still 30 or 40 seconds left. They could have rotated.
They had so many options to play with, and they just went for the wrong one. Karrigan, that's got to be a misread, a missed call, and perhaps a missed opportunity as well, as TYLOO will get their 6th on the board, and once again, the economy for mousesports will start to creak. They are going to be able to get the buyout. They will be able to get the AWP onto Woxic, but if this one goes wrong, they are in a lot of trouble yet again. No boost over the top of the smoke this time for Zeta, as he just looks to hold around the sides and add to his tally. 9 to his name at the moment. He's just holding passively, not too interested in the peak, as Karrigan gets some free control towards short and starts to bleed out that CT utility. Early Molotov goes down, and mousesports, where are you looking to go with this one?
Well, they have their options available again, as TYLOO on their CT side have played aggressively when they've had lower weaponry, like SMGs, for example, but when they've had these very stationary defaults, it's typically been off the back of AWPs and M4s. So they're going for it again. They're giving up long control. They're giving up catwalk by and large, but now Karrigan's going to get tested, and he passes with flying colors as he passes a bullet between the eyes of Attacker. Somebody, though, is holding the line with his AWP. 2 kills to his name, narrowly missing out on a 3rd, but he's going to get pushed by 2 sides. He's still alive. He's still kicking, and he has batted down mousesports. A solo effort from somebody. What a ridiculous play that actually is. 7-2 lead to boot.
And the timeout immediately called by mousesports. And again, just feeding the secondary AWPer one by one, wandering into the crosshairs, and it's just all too easy for him to pick those frags up. Yes, he finds Woxic initially, but then Chris J out in the open, that's an easy frag. Players just peeking him one at a time, and nobody ever able to find the frag to take him down. Because if he's gone, that A-bomb site's looking relatively open. It's an easy enough take for mousesports, but instead, TYLOO find themselves round number 7. They save that double AWP setup as well, which is critical given their economy, and they put mousesports in a really awful position.
I'm somewhat amazed that we're in this position right now, Wolfie. If you'd said to me that TYLOO would be winning 7-2 on Dust2 after that Inferno game, I'd have called you mad. I would have been calling the doctors for you, but here we are. TYLOO in command. 12 kills Summer, 12 kills somebody, Zeta with 9. Freeman's a 1 and 4, but he hasn't really been called upon. Keep in mind, he's one of the B players, and the vast majority of these hits have been A in middle. He is going to be called upon now, though, to try and repel this pistol-wielding mousesports, but a good Molotov put into position is going to stop the initial charge, and he just has a smoke out there to toss in afterwards. Do mousesports go for the aggression behind this? You better believe they do, but he heard the pins being removed. He sprays through the smoke, and he gets the ultimate reward. But Rops and Karrigan gonna be shimmying in for 2 kills, and now TYLOO is stuck on the A side of the map and maybe looking to save.
It's looking like the long game play here from TYLOO. They have to save as well. The economy, I said it was all right. It's not that good. They can't afford to go for a 4-on-3 retake into the B bomb site, knowing full well that Rops, Karrigan, and Woxic, they've managed to recover rifles. They've got Kriegs. There's an M4 picked up on Woxic as well. It's just all too easy for mousesports to get into that B bomb site. Yes, Freeman finds one through the smoke to open things up, but it's 2 quick trades found by mousesports. The execute works out to perfection, and TYLOO just really didn't look like they had an answer. When that full execute came out, the smoke went into CT, and there was nothing doing for them as mousesports get a free entry, a free round number 3, and a free rifle onto Woxic as well.
So both of their timeouts have proven to be invaluable for mousesports, but it's quite the turnaround considering that they are fighting clawing their way in for any scrap of a round, whereas Inferno, it's like the rounds were just coming to them for free. They're not having to really work their backsides off to get anything done in this. TYLOO, double AWPs in play once again with M4s. Yes, they have depleted their funds on the bulk of their team, but they're still in this round to stand and fight until the bitter end. mousesports in the meanwhile, Rop's logging in his smoke towards the Xboxes. And in the meanwhile, Chris J tosses one down to middle, so they're going to try and fend off Zeta's presence in mid for the time being until they push into long, which is a fair enough tactic considering how prolific these AWPs have been here, Wolfie, on their CT side.
They've been incredible. It's been a complete change-up. Nice flashbang through. Chris J able to trade 1-for-1, but not expecting the second player in the form of Attacker. And with that bomb down towards long as well, all Attacker has to do is stay alive, but he'll help himself to another frag. Frozen, the unfortunate soul who wanders into his crosshairs, as Karrigan only able to get one jumping down into CT, leaving Woxic with a 1 versus 3. I liked his first on Inferno, but he's not going to be getting it this time. Attacker quickly puts an end to things. And mousesports, they look like they wanted to up the pace out towards A long. It did not work whatsoever.
3 AWPs now on TYLOO.
I mean, you can never have too much of a good thing, right?
Especially on a map like Dust2. This definitely does support 3 AWPs. It does leave them susceptible to aggressive plays, but after thwarting mousesports' aggression on long, do mousesports go in for another rush? Maybe not. Their money situation is a little bit on the rough side, though. Mac-10, AK, and SG. 4 players strong pushing into the tunnels. But there's that same Molotov again.
Just waiting it out. mousesports know they've got to go quickly with the firepower they've got. Summer wants to find that opening pick for his team. Might just get a little bit too aggressive here, or might catch what's here with a nade out. So much damage, a 3-man collat as he tags up 2, and the nade will follow through. Summer gets the second, but now the flank from Karrigan comes in, and a quick double on the B-bomb site opens things up. Karrigan helps himself to a triple, and TYLOO falling apart at the seams as the bomb is finally going to make its way in. The Molotov keeping Rops at bay for so long, but how has this retake come about? Frozen and Karrigan finish things off, and it was such a good hold. Summer got so much damage out of that AWP, but the flank through mid just uncovered. Karrigan helps himself to some freebies, and mousesports, again, with a minimal buy, managed to get their 4th round.
Karrigan has picked up on a weakness, and that is their middle control. This is the same way that mousesports got their last round as well. The last 2 rounds have been off that almost an identical play, where even though TYLOO, remember last time it was Freeman, got a kill through the smoke onto Chris J, they get the first kill, they get a hefty amount of damage, and then it just goes nowhere. So they're going to be plugging in that middle gap. There's way more manpower, grenades, influence over middle, but it's at the cost of elsewhere on the map. They've given up B completely. Look at TYLOO. This is such a ballsy play, but it's going to work out for them for now.
mousesports, with no information about it whatsoever, are going to head up A long. Unfortunately, TYLOO just starting to rotate players in towards middle, so it's going to be Attacker on this A bomb site with the P250 to try and find some damage. Rops helps himself to the first frag, and Attacker will be taken down by Karrigan. The stack not quite working out as Rops grabs a quick double, and Woxic finishes things off, and it could have gone so much differently, though. mousesports, again, looking like they're making small mistakes, not exploring that B bomb site at all, and not getting the information that there's nobody home for TYLOO.
That's the thing with gambles. When they work, you look like a genius. When they don't, you look a little bit foolish, but it's an understandable gamble to take because they may have assumed that Karrigan would just rinse and repeat the same play until TYLOO did start to make some changes. Woxic through the middle. Another statistic that I'm simply baffled by is that Woxic, a player that is normally utterly dominant on Dust2, is on 2 and 9. He's had no impact on this map at all, in any way, shape, or form. I am perplexed by that.
He's having a really rough start to it, isn't he? And you've got to wonder if Zeta just picking up his game on the AWP, and somebody even coming in with a huge secondary AWP as now it goes towards Summer, is having somewhat of an impact. mousesports, though, they're going to go fast up towards the A bomb site, and the short play has left TYLOO absolutely stranded. The bomb's still on the back of Frozen, but they're just about going to manage to get it across, and TYLOO, with no presence at all, they've got to go for a 5-on-5 retake here. If they want any chance of getting into this bomb site, they have the utility to do it, but a call needs to be made very quickly because the rotation's got to come through.
It's a 5-on-5 retake with 2 AWPs. That is far from ideal, and a UMP. So everything points towards mousesports getting the job done. but the way that TYLOO have been playing, you definitely couldn't write them off. Incendiaries tossed towards the back of the site. Thing is here for TYLOO as well, it's almost like they're on a ticking time bomb. Do they even go for this? Their economy's not great. If they lose this round, then mousesports likely will just cruise to an 8-7 deficit. Nate starting to connect on the back of the site. Carrigan trading out frags. Attacker comes straight up and is going to be able to get the 2 kills, but Voxic from the car is going to shut the door on any possible retake with giving mousesports a 6th round, and this is where the economy catches up with TYLOO.
This is where it starts to feel like it's going wrong for TYLOO. They look so dominant to start with, but mousesports, they've taken their time, sure, but they've started to find those weaknesses. We've seen the mid-aggression. Now they catch TYLOO with no presence on the A bomb site as they try and get aggressive towards short. And it's almost like Carrigan is slowly calibrating his IGL dial. He's slowly working out, okay, they're not taking this portion of the map. I'll just go fast there. As again, he's going to go straight out of the mid doors, but Zeta is there for the punish on the scout, finding some tags before he's traded out by Chris J. And again, it's this fast mid to B split being looked for by mousesports. Rops thinking about going straight through this smoke. It's going to be all about the timing if he does. Freeman up close and personal with the MP9 can do some damage. Dinks coming through all over the shop, but Chris J still finding frags, and this is just a timing game. Rops is going to get Freeman, and although somebody, an attacker, will absolutely go for this retake of the B bomb site, it is looking nigh on impossible.
It certainly is, but last round of the half, they're going to be going in for this. Frozen will gobble up the freebie onto attacker. And it's going to be more carnage, and it will end the way of mousesports. TYLOO have won every pistol in this best of 3. We'll have to see if they make it 4 after this break.
On my own, when you spill that rum and coke on my t-shirt, yeah, your eyes made it difficult to get my baby. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high-pitched feel, baby. We shared a cigarette by East Riverside. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby
We got what we were asking for, Wolfie, a much closer, more conflicted game than the Inferno. But TYLOO actually leading 8-7. They did let a mammoth lead slip, though. mousesports shifting through the gears. And a stat I'd just like to bring up, Carrigan, in this best of 3 so far, he is on an astounding 36 kills. And considering the first map was 16-5, that is insane.
He's putting some serious numbers up the IGL, to say the least, and it really does feel like mousesports are starting to accelerate, and they could keep it going with this pistol, although TYLOO currently flawless on pistol rounds. Somebody, first one round the corner, pop flash comes in for the peek, and oh, Frozen can't quite find it. Zeta, fully blinded, will get the headshot, and TYLOO, they looked like they were going to up the pace off the back of that, but just slowing things down, waiting for the utility, waiting for the execute to be lined up. 4 players queued up towards short at the moment in the 5-on-4, but nobody looking to strike just yet with a minute left on the clock.
There's a lot of flirtation, but not much that came of it. Just Frozen losing his life, and now Voxic going to take some speculative shots through middle before he backs away. Another big storyline is he didn't really have any impact in that first half, but they always have that ace up the sleeve. If he turns on and wakes up with the AWP, things could get sketchy for TYLOO. They're going to look to try and take the site. Carrigan holding the line, holding this on his back, and now Chris J is joining the fray with his USP at range, is tapping, clicking some heads off. Voxic now, next up to the plate. And it's only Freeman that stands between them and their first pistol round of this best of 3. 23 seconds to play with. Freeman trying to use the USP against them, but it's Rops that connects the dots. And it's going to be 8-8. mousesports finally on the board for a pistol round. And that's going to be worrying for TYLOO.
And you have to think that was crucial for mousesports. This is the first time TYLOO have really put them under any pressure. And as of so far, they hadn't won a single pistol round. So getting that one on the board, it doesn't matter that it was close. It doesn't matter that there were mistakes made. They find the round. That gives them a springboard now. They're going to be able to buy. And without the bomb plant for TYLOO, their economy is looking very, very lackluster. Attacker picking up the Zeus is going to be the only upgrade across TYLOO. How do you get into a bomb site with nothing but a Zeus and Glocks?
I don't have the answer for you, Wolfie. That is a good question. Smarter men than I probably don't have the answer for you either. I think you just hope for the best and hope that mousesports maybe get overzealous, push out and give you a weapon. That's really the only hope. And a team under Carrigan's tutelage is not going to be making these kind of mistakes. They do have this bait crossfire set up. Voxic going to try and draw them out into the open, soften up the targets, and then Chris J will do the rest. Deagle's not the perfect weapon here, but he's going to make it work anyway. Sticks the landing on Summer and Attacker, and that's the round that should be subsiding and slipping away as a result. Rob's just going to spray down, and mousesports don't lose a single player. Great news for their economy.
That's a really nice round, and it's going to build up that bonus round coming into the third as well. They just clean things up, not losing a single player. Chris J using that Deagle a little more like a shotgun, but he makes it work and he finds the frags, and that's the important thing at the end of the day. Now TYLOO go for the full investment. They've got the AWP, Kriegs and AK-47s coming out, and this is where it starts to swing. If mousesports can get away with this bonus round, if they can find the success with just the MP9 scouts and a couple of rifles, then it really starts to fall apart for TYLOO as Mouse. They're going to go fast towards short. They're going to try and catch Freeman off guard, and they will achieve it. Frozen finds a second as well. That's 2 Kriegs lost near enough immediately as the round falls apart as soon as it began for TYLOO. Summer, the next one to try and recover things from mid, but Chris J's going to find him straight through the smoke. 5-on-2 for somebody in Zeta. They've got 1 minute and 25 left on the clock, and arguably they need to try and save already.
Yeah, it's a pretty depressing situation they find themselves in, but mousesports know exactly what is coming up, and they've already sent the flank. They've already sent Rops. They've unleashed him. They've told him, go kill. Take these weapons away from TYLOO, but he's having a whiff. He finally salvages it all. We'll just pretend the first 5 bullets never happened, Rops. Don't worry. No one saw that. And now Zeta, with his AWP, is unsure as to what his options really are. He's got 1 minute left. At the very least, he can try and strangle a couple of players on his way out, I suppose, at range. Tries to flick across to Voxic, but he's going to double tap him with the scout in the end. 2nd consecutive rounds without any casualties on mousesports.
And they got away with the bonus round as well. It's going to put TYLOO in an awful position, and they've just upgraded across the board, right? They've got 3 AK-47s. They've picked up a Krieg. Woxic was so close to getting the AWP as well, and just completely equipping the T-side loadout for the CTs, but not quite able to achieve it. And TYLOO, they'll go back down onto the pistols. There'll be Deagles, 1 CZ for Zeta to really just do whatever you can, right? How many rifles can you take away from mousesports? How painful can you make this for the CT side as the early Molotovs come through, and Summer and Freeman are going to eat a lot of early damage?
It's worthwhile keeping the scout as well. There's only 3 of them that have armor. It's almost like a moped AWP. I don't know, it's super fast. You can nip around there, get on that scooter, pop some heads maybe. Although Rops is just doing all the damage right now with the AK, so he's probably not going to be called upon. Carrigan also chipping in with a frag, and it's more of the same. Our mousesports going to pull off 3 consecutive flawless rounds is the only thing left to answer, and they've answered it emphatically. That is a yes.
It just looks all too easy, doesn't it? And I'm never going to call it a scout anymore. It's a moped AWP for the rest of my casting.
Only when they don't have armor, though. Otherwise, it's basically a pea shooter.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind. But mousesports, they make it look very, very simple again. And TYLOO, is this the wheels coming off? Is this the same as Inferno? Is it going to fall apart? I think this round is really important. This is the swing for them. Zeta gets the AWP out once more. He went a bit quiet after the opening rounds on the first half, so hopefully T-side, traditionally TYLOO's home ground, maybe they can start to find some consistency here as they are starting to target B, and Rops is currently completely alone.
Outmanned, never outgunned, though, is the young Estonian. And he really is alone, basically. He's on a planet. A different solar system compared to the rest of his team. But now Frozen's going to try and get into Stellar and bridge the gap with his SG. Watching through middle. This is the kind of angle that can actually bypass the smoke that's tossed in depending how deep it is. So a bit of a sneaky, cheeky position that he's got for himself. But TYLOO not going to be opting for middle anytime soon, it would appear. They're actually playing more of an anti-eco setup here. They may be anticipating that mousesports, as they did on Inferno, once all the chips had kind of settled down, do go for that aggression and try and keep them off guard. So this is almost like the Inferno tactics. It's reverbing and coming back in a cycle.
Yeah, I think Carrigan has learnt his lessons on that one. It went beautifully on Inferno, but he's giving TYLOO a lot more respect on Dust2. And that was something we spoke about, right, was them earning the respect of mousesports. And it feels like they've done that now.
Sure.
They're 11-8, down short, but they were up at the half. They made a really good run of it, and they have just lost their first pistol. So fair play to them. They've started to earn their respect, and now it's about how much more can you get. They've got the full buy. They're starting to run out of utility, though, as they go for the drop down in towards CT. Frozen going to be held off by the smoke as the A hit starts to come in. Woxic still on that scout, only able to find a tag as the push comes through. Chris J still not cleared in Goose. Oh man, he whiffs the spray though, and he can't get anything at all. That was awful. He had to find those frags. Those were 2 absolute freebies, and Rops and Frozen, perhaps in shock that he went down that way, are going to be bailing out of the A-bomb site and trying to keep a hold on these 2 rifles. A Krieg, of course, absolutely crucial on the CT side at this point, but oh man, that miss from Chris J.
I can just imagine the spam in Twitch chat right now. Whiff J's all over Twitch chat. That was unreal. You could see what he was going for. He wanted to deny the bomb plant first and try and spin in for the second frag. But you need to finish your meal before you can have your dessert. He tried to go straight for the pudding. That's not how it works. Don't get greedy, Chris.
You do wonder if it's when he puts that bomb down and the head just goes, and from behind, sometimes you can't quite see
the
it.
hitbox
It looked like he was going for the one tap
Sure.
there. He just looked like he wanted to finish the headshot and transfer, but of course it doesn't connect. And then you're in the awkward position when your crosshair's halfway between 1 and 2, and where do you go next? And it just all falls apart. And perhaps that's what TYLOO needed, a little bit of luck, a lucky break, and a slightly whiffy hitbox to give them an opportunity to get back into this one. 11-9 the scoreline. Of course, mousesports going to be on a full buy, and they are hitting the double AWP panic button here for Chris J and Woxic. You spoke about him in the pregame being somewhat of a scout master. Let's see what he can do with the AWP.
Oh, well, he's absolutely no scrub when it comes to AWPing either. Of course, historically back before the likes of Oscar in the team, he was the primary AWP for quite some time for mousesports, and he posted up some very, very good performances with this very gun. I mean, that's the thing with mousesports. They're just so spoiled with all these sick AWPers. Carrigan can even use it. Robs can. Frozen can. Like, all this team, honestly, can AWP on their day. But right now, it does fall to these 2, and they haven't really been engaged upon early, haven't been called upon to do anything. But they may get peeked from Zeta if they're not careful through middle.
Everybody just waiting for something to happen, it seems like. mousesports, they've got long control. It's going to be at the consequence of short, though, with Woxic holding that one down from the ramp. And TYLOO yet to really aggress anywhere. A very similar strategy to the previous as they look to almost replicate their Inferno hold and just sit back, wait for the aggression from mousesports, but nothing forthcoming. So with 50 seconds left on the clock, they've got to try and find some kind of an execute. 4 players queued up towards short at the moment to put that pressure on Woxic. We know he can hit the shots when he's given the opportunity, and he might get one hell of an opportunity coming up once that smoke fades for the CT side. Now comes the execute. TYLOO with all the nades in the world to try and make this one work. Woxic with the Molotov will slow them down, however, and you can see TYLOO just stalling, dropping down into CT, putting even more pressure on Woxic. In the meanwhile, the support trying to come in as Woxic finds the first, still stuck on the angle towards the A ramp. Attacker still in the elevator, able to find one more, but Woxic, he lives. He finds himself a second, still scoped in, finally taken out. Summer gets the frag, and Frozen with it all to do from A long. The rotation from Rops is so slow. He's desperate to try and take out Freeman, but with that bomb planted for short, he's got to wait for the support. Somebody takes a couple of tags, and 2-on-2, that bomb starts to tick down.
Freeman in the nuts position. All he has to do is wait. Hope that somebody can stay alive long enough to install them long enough to pounce off. Rops is caught in two minds. He's expecting, anticipating this catwalk peek. They're going to tickle the bomb. Freeman comes out. He's going to prioritize the diffuser first. And to make matters worse, Rops is dropped down. And that's the round that goes with him. Into the abyss. Freeman chases, gives charge. They want to take all these guns away. mousesports have more than enough finances to support a rebuy, but TYLOO making a real go of this.
It's more about the statement than the finances at this point. TYLOO just putting it out there, finding themselves these rounds and really starting to just step up to mousesports level, it feels like. They're starting to frag, they're starting to hit their shots, and the trades are looking really efficient as well for the Chinese side. As mousesports, they used their third timeout. They didn't use a single one on Inferno, so perhaps looking a little bit rattled, finally starting to see the potential of TYLOO coming through here. And honestly, there's a world where they win this now. They're one round behind. The economy, while it's good for the time being for mousesports, is going to start to falter as these rounds string up the way of TYLOO. And it's the T side for TYLOO, right? They have always been a T-sided team.
Historically, they have been a team that certainly excels when it comes to T-sides if they're on form. And it seems like they've woken up from that deep sleep that they were on in Inferno. Maybe their toes did get burned after all. And now on Dust2, they're here to stand and fight, but this is a huge round again. This is a bit of a fulcrum point, considering that Chris J, Carrigan, and Woxic have very little money if things go pear-shaped. If they just get steamrolled here, TYLOO can really take a stranglehold over this map. This is a huge round with so much on the line.
The pressure really is on, and it's all about which team rises to the challenge. mousesports not going with their default hold, 2 players into the B bomb site and leaving mid a little bit open. We saw mousesports exploiting this on their own T side, and they're leaving the door ever so slightly open, although now Frozen and Woxic will readjust their attention down towards CT, and indeed somebody is going to make his way out of mid relatively unopposed here. TYLOO getting plenty of information as Frozen now starts to make the rotation. Zeta, though, on the angle, eats the dink and finds the frag for his troubles. This hold is looking troubled indeed. Rops thinking about the peek out of the window, but with the AWP absolutely trained on his position and even the shoulder peek spotting him out, he's got to find the frag, and he'll do so. Somebody on low HP, so Rops gets a second, looking for more. He's going out of the window to find these frags. Rops with a third, and Summer sneaking onto this bomb site has got to do it all alone. Nothing doing. The B bomb site is closed for mousesports. An attacker finds the first. 1v2 still in his hands with 45 seconds left on the clock. I might have gone a little too early there as he starts to take the control in towards the tunnels. Bomb dropped on the site. Can he make his way in?
That's the key point, though. It's the bomb drop that is an absolute nightmare. A fortress, a bastion of hope for mousesports is the B site. Attacker has the utility to feasibly go for this. Maybe he can smoke off and try and take 2 separate 1v1s, especially considering that Rops is actually just sat on 13 HP. But time itself is becoming an enemy. Time itself is a nuisance. He tries to try peek it, and Rops on fine form connects another one. His 4K in the round, and he deserves a standing ovation from the rest of his team. One hell of a round from him.
It's really boosted his stats as well. 22 and 9. He's picking up where Carrigan left off in map 1 and really dragging mousesports to this victory as finally TYLOO take their first time out of the game, and you can understand why. You look down that right-hand side of your screen and the economy is a little bit jumbled, to say the least. Somebody in Zeta nearer 2K than 3. 3 players who could feasibly buy, but no real cash available to be dropping your teammates. So at best, this is a 3-rifle buy as somebody does go for the Deagle and armor. So perhaps we're going to see the Force and indeed an attacker immediately picking up the creek.
Go straight in. They're not going to be slowing down. They're going to continue to turn up the pace. They feel mousesports are still shaky, still wobbly. They landed the jab. They've somewhat stunned mousesports. Can they go for that killer shot now? That's what they're hoping for. They still have plenty of firepower to go behind, and we've already seen Zeta with the scout is no slouch. This guy, if you give him a chance, he will be popping off those heads. Rob's going to be on the cross. He gets across there safely. TYLOO not giving this away either. All they've done is throw smokes down. This could still be a pistol rush as far as mousesports are concerned, hence them throwing the Molotov and a smoke onto B already.
Baiting out some of that early CT utility and just looking to give yourselves every possible opportunity. Rops, a little bit isolated towards that B-bomb site again as 3 players look to wander into his crosshairs, except this time he has the Krieg to his name. And that's going to make this push very, very complicated. He's got the fast rotation from Frozen towards the doors from middle as well. So the setup's good for the CT side. It's all about the fragging now as TYLOO, they've only got 1 hit on their mind, and it is this B-bomb site. Flash fully blinds Rops. He's got to retreat behind the triple box. He's waiting for his timing, but he's going to be taken down. Frozen at least able to trade 1-for-1 as the cross comes through from TYLOO. But this B-bomb site's so difficult to retake, and it's going to have to be a 4-on-4 as the bomb gets planted. Lovely nade onto Summer, but can mousesports get back into this? Somebody is still up towards short, looking to catch Woxic off guard, and actually a missed shot from the AWPer may mean the end of it all. There's a second player looking to hunt him down now in the form of Chris J, and have mousesports given up on the chase here? Somebody finally going to be taken down, but they don't look like they're too convinced about this. Going to throw some utility in and start to believe perhaps they can get back into this B-bomb site. Frozen desperately waiting for the rotations as Attacker starts to burn down to 25 HP. The trades come through for mousesports, and somehow they get back in. 3 players, 3 frags, and mousesports have round number 13. They left that so close, but the bomb just not quite quick enough.
That was a matter of milliseconds away. And I thought for a moment Attacker was going to get saved by that Molotov. It sounds like a strange thing, but it was tossed in. It didn't quite extend enough. So he was able to sit in there, almost shielded him off. Molotovs have this weird effect in game where it almost acts as like a smoke wall at times. I was thinking he could maybe get up, line up 2 or 3 players and somehow clutch that round. But mousesports, by the thinnest of margins, take the 13-10 lead. As you said, it was like a strange, disjointed retake. It seemed like half of them wanted to and half of them didn't want to. And that nearly is what was a determining factor. But now TYLOO into another scout, into more pistols, and they are running out of time. They are running out of rounds.
The opportunities are starting to run out, and as Woxic finds the opening pick onto somebody, this becomes a very one-dimensional attack. 3 players looking to make their way up towards short, and with Frozen there, he just shoulder peeks that angle. Attacker tries to go straight through the Molotov, but that's an easy enough frag to find, and as the nades follow suit, the damage is done for TYLOO in this round. 5-on-3 with just 2 deagles and a scout remaining, and what little utility they have starting to burn dry. The CT side hold at the moment looking strong as a missed run boost comes out. You can see what they were trying to go for there, and they're going to give it another crack. Second time a charm perhaps, and indeed Zeta is going to make his way past, but he's just going to feed Carrigan. That's all too simple. Summer getting the reload in on the deagle as Carrigan goes straight through with a pistol. Can't quite find it, but mousesports will find round number 14. Just the 1 frag from TYLOO, and it's do or die time now.
And the nightmare scenario there is actually that failed jump boost let him know there was at least 2 players on short.
Yeah.
So he's like, cool, I'll just sit in position, I'll wait, and then just pounces and gets 2 frags, and that's the round done. As you say, 14-10, TYLOO, 2 rounds shy of losing their very first game here in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2020. They'll move down to the lower bracket. mousesports anticipated to win this, and they're very close to doing so, but that's a freebie. The flashbang's not going to do enough to deter Zeta, and he's going to pick up the kill. Frozen's going to try and return the favor with some aggression, but he's walking into Freeman. Freeman's had a bit of a stinker of a best of 3, but he is going to still put the bullet between the eyes of Frozen. And now Rops may move out into a trap as well, but the aim was too high from Attacker. His crosshair not quite placed perfectly.
That's going to give mousesports a lifeline here. It looked like the aggressions were just going to be pushed back everywhere from TYLOO, but at least 1 works out, and that gives them some time. The flank's starting to come in from Chris J. Woxic knows he's got to buy as much time as possible. The Molotovs, the nades, everything being thrown to allow this flank from Chris J to come through. Zeta executed out towards the pit. And now a 3-on-3, and look at this from TYLOO. They don't know where to look. Robs gets a second through the edge of the smoke onto Summer. Woxic not quite able to hit the shot and gives TYLOO their lifeline back in a 2-on-2 as the Molotov goes deep, and that might just burn Freeman alive. Chris J takes advantage. Somebody has got to play the range game here. The bomb planted for him, and perhaps he can find a frag as Chris J just toys with his own Molotov. Smoke goes in. Molly to try and push him off it, but that's not going to work at all. Rops will find the final frag, and mousesports, they have map, and indeed they have series point 15-10, and they're looking good to finish it here and now.
The outright sound of disrespect as the Molotov extinguishes off the smoke. And at that point, he knew the round was done. mousesports 5 match points. TYLOO going to be digging deep, scraping the bottom of the barrel and seeing what sticks. They're going to have no AWP, which is sad times for Zito, who's had a lot of impact when they've been in his hands, but plenty of SGs, 4 in total. mousesports nearly over-aggressing into their demise in the last round, but Rops again, who's just been in such fine form, well over 20 kills to his name here on Dust2, a huge factor as to why they've been able to come back. Remember as well, Wolfie, at one point, this was 7-1 to TYLOO. That's how much this has changed back in round in mousesports' favor.
And it's a map where typically we see T-sides being a little bit dominant and starting to find their consistency, especially with the Kriegs in the way they are now. It's such a T-sided map in D2, and the opportunities are there for a T-side to just run away with it economically. But instead, mousesports have slowly but surely reeled TYLOO in. And with 4 Kriegs and an AK-47, it really is do or die time for TYLOO. They know there can be no more mistakes, no more slip-ups. And mousesports currently with 2 players towards that B-bomb site, so it will be a 5-on-3 as TYLOO look to hit up towards short. And a long rotation away from Carrigan as well. So Frozen and Woxic with a huge job to do here as they look to hold down this A-bomb site.
As you say, the final curtain starting to come down. Will TYLOO jump out? Do they have that second wind? Is the adrenaline going to spike, or are they going to be laid to rest by Frozen? The Undertaker himself rises up and smites down TYLOO. And now somebody has got to somehow get them out of this predicament. It's a good tap onto Chris J. His position now compromised, 23 seconds to go. Bomb down in an awkward position. And to boot, there's a flank coming in from Carrigan. If somebody doesn't get a move on to the site, this should be all over. He's trying the off angles. He's trying every trick up his sleeve. But Woxic is still going to put him down with authority. And mousesports will take this matchup 2-0 in the end. It was labored. They get it done. We're going to break down all the action after this.